So there's a challah bake all over the world, and I don't know exactly how it works, but whatever it is, Rebbetzen Dov asked me if I'm going to be baking challah this Shabbos, and I'm not. Good morning, Gabriella. Good morning, Gabriella. And so I'm not, but I decided that I have to participate in some way. So the gematria of challah is 43. Chet is 8, lamed is 30, and 5 is hey. Gematria challah is 43. So we're going to learn chapter 43 in Tehillim. And it happens to just work out totally perfectly in terms of current events, which everyone knows I'm interested in seeing the Torah point of view, or associating what's going on in the world with Hashkafa, with Torah. You all know that all the foods that we eat on Shabbos add up to in Hebrew, their Hebrew meaning adds up to the number 7. So first we start with yayin, we make Kiddush yayin. Yayin is 70. If you add the 7 and the 0, you get of 70. When you add the digits, you get the number 7. Then we have challah, chet lamed hey, also gematria 43. Add up the 4 and the 3, you get 7. Then we have fish, dag. Dag is 4 and 3. Add that up together, you get 7. And then we have marak, soup. Add that up together, you get marak is kuf is 140. Let's see, 340 is marak. So that's also 3 and 4 is 7. So everything is 7s. Everything adds up to 7. And the funny joke is that kugel doesn't add up to 7, so you have to have 2 pieces of kugel. All the foods that we have that we put into our Shabbos menu add up to 7. And so mem gimel, challah, adds up to 7 also. So it's a very short chapter of Tehillim. And so this is my Erev Shabbos Mishtatef joining in the challah bake. So we're learning Tehillim number challah, chet lamed hey, and you'll say this if and when you make challah. You can use this to feel it's a short parak of Tehillim. It's only 5 psukim, and okay, it's talking about Mashiach. Now every chapter of Tehillim is talking about Mashiach, you could say. But here we have more of a clear indication. Also, Mem Gimel 43 is actually a continuation of Mem Bet 42. And there's actually an idea that they are one chapter, because you'll see that there's a code pasuk that weaves itself through both Perek Mem Bet and the last pasuk of Perek Mem Gimel. And that's that pasuk that weaves itself through, attaches these 2 chapters. Okay, so again, for those people who came in late, hi and welcome. We're doing chapter 43 in Tehillim, and that is gematria challah, because right now you're involved in the challah bake. Okay, here goes. The first words are scary unless you learn them. Then you see what it's talking about, and there's no more scare. Shafteni Elokim. The word Shafteni could sometimes mean judge me. And the name Elokim is God's name of judgment. So Shafteni Elokim, if you mistranslate it, it is judge me, oh God. And we know that we don't want God to judge us, because nobody can get through a judgment without having a criticism. So what does Shafteni mean? The Radak says, it means avenge me, take revenge, Hashem, for all the things that the nations of the world have done to the Jewish people. So I'm trying to figure out how to make the camera now. Sorry. So you know that Tehillim is written on 3 levels. The book of Tehillim is written on 3 levels. One is something was going on. Okay, I don't know what just happened. Something just happened. It knocked me all off. Am I back on with you? Yeah?
Yes, you're back on. You're back on.
Yeah. I don't know what just happened. Thanks. Sorry. Just got knocked off. Okay. Shafteni Elokim, judge me Hashem. Very. What?
There was like no sound, like you disappeared.
Yeah, I disappeared.
Okay.
And my whole, I don't know what happened just now. Oh, you know what? I have to fix something in my internet. 1 second. Okay, that should be better. That's such a good picture of you, Golda. I'm looking to see who is that. Okay, Shafteni. Yeah, you are in live. Shafteni Elokim means take revenge, Hashem, for the Jewish people and for me individually and for David HaMelech. Again, 3 levels of Tehillim. David HaMelech wrote it precipitated by something that was happening in his own life, but he wrote it not just personally for himself, but he wrote it for Klal Yisrael, and then he wrote it for every single individual Jew that ever would be. When it says, judge me and fight my fights, Hashem, that's what the first pasuk says. Migoy lo chasid, because I want you to protect me from a nation that is not kind and that doesn't have the quality of kindness even built into them. And also, me'ish mimadi ablat falteni, and then Hashem, let me escape a person who is a trickster and a criminal. Okay, so it sounds harsh. It does, it sounds harsh. But let's learn deeply and see how it relates to us. First of all, Chazal tell us that when we ask Hashem to judge our judgments, to be our lawyer, that's what we're asking Hashem. Riva, you fight my fights. Why do we ask someone to fight our fights? Because we can't fight our fights ourselves. That's what the implication here is that I can't fight Hashem. I can't defend myself. Because why? Because I'm against a group of people, lo chasid. The Mefarshim tell us that means that they don't have the root of chesed even in their soul. This is really Amalek. We know that Amalek doesn't have a shred of spirituality to them, or a shred of kindness. How do we know that? Because we know that that eventually Hashem will completely destroy Amalek. That means there's no redemptivity in the end. The Amalek of the end. The Amalek of the end, there's no redemptivity. So here David HaMelech is saying, you have to save me from Goy lo chasid, a nation that is not. Now, it doesn't just mean the nation is not righteous, because there are plenty of nations that are not righteous. Okay, but they're not terrible, but they're not righteous. They're parv. But again, the Mefarshim here say that it represents a concept of a nation or a group or whatever powers that be, that has not a shred of compassion in them. They're pure ruthless and pure deceitful and pure criminal. Okay, now there's an expression in Sfarim that says v'hamevin yavin. That means not everything can be spelled out explicitly. Hi Esther, thank you for joining us. So you just think about in your mind how this could be referring to what's going on in the world today. David HaMelech is asking Hashem should be the one to take revenge, because we are not able to, we are not capable of, either because it's one person against a group, or it's because the Jewish people against the whole world, or it's because good against evil. However that is, we're asking Hashem to avenge us, to take nikama, nikameni, that's what the Radak says, nikameni, avenge Hashem, avenge the Jewish people, and help us to escape them. Ki ata Elokai, Elokei ma'uzi. Why am I asking you, Hashem, to do this for me? Because you are the God that I draw my strength from. Oz, right? Hashem oz la'amo yitain. Hashem gives us oz. Oz means power. Power, ayin zayin, power. You should also learn parak ayin zayin, because parak ayin zayin in Tehillim is a very, very powerful parak. So Hashem, you're the one who gives me oz. You're the one who gives me power. So if I do any hishtadlus at all, it's because I'm drawing my power from you, Hashem. You know, I heard a very interesting thing. Let's see, who says this? I think the Satmarov says this. No, the Chazon Ish says this. The Chazon Ish says something very interesting. He says, you know, it's a very big test. Let's say you're trying to accomplish something and it doesn't work. So it's a very big test to say, okay, it wasn't Bashet, Gamzu Latova. That's a very big test. And we go through that test all the time. We have to let go. We have to say, Hashem, it's your Ratzon, Gamzu Latova. But the Chazon Ish says, it was his yard a couple of days ago, the Chazon Ish says that if things go your way, when you're successful, when things are great, and you say, okay, Hashem, that was from you, Gamzu Latova. In other words, and he says that's a bigger test. It's a harder test. It's a harder test to recognize that everything that happens in our life is not because we're talented, and it's not because we're geschikt, and it's not because we have business acumen, and it's not because we have a good mazel, and it's not because of any of those things, because Hashem decided. So when Hashem decides and we like the decision, when Hashem decides and we don't like the decision, we say, oh, okay, Gamzu Latova. And we say, like, I tried my best, but Hashem said, all right, whatever. But he says it's harder. It's a harder test to let go and to say, Hashem, you're the one who did when I just succeeded. I just, gave a great shear. I just sold a lot of merchandise. I just was Makar 1 million people. I just made a lot of money, whatever. But that was from you. And let go of your own. You know that the tzaddik I have in my siddur, I showed you the other day my siddur. I mark all over my siddur. I write it and I underline it because I use a siddur that has mefarshim in Hebrew all over. So one of the mefarshim in my siddur says that in the beginning of davening, when we ask Hashem for requests, please Hashem, let the kids be okay, and let everybody stay strong and healthy, and let everybody stay protected, and all of those things. Whenever we daven for any of our requests, what we're supposed to say is, Hashem, I'm asking you this because you commanded me to ask you. Really, I really shouldn't really ask you anything. Whatever you give me is whatever you give me, whatever you choose to give me is what I'm supposed to have. And so thank you, Hashem, for that. I shouldn't be requesting specific things like perks. But if I do request, which we have, I'm doing it because it's a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah for us to daven, to ask Hashem, to be real with Hashem, and to ask Hashem for the things that we need. But not because we want them, rather because Hashem said, I want you to talk to me and approach me whenever you need something. So this is a very, very fine line of what does it mean, self-power, and what does it mean, everything's Hashem. But here he's saying, Hashem, you're my ma'oz. You're the strength whenever anything comes to me, you are the one who is supporting me. Now, who do we need the most? Who do we need the most protection from? Who is the absolute most deceitful, criminal, lo chassid in our life? Who is it? That's our Yetzer Hara. Okay, so the Yetzer Hara is trying to get you to do the wrong thing. It's trying to mix us up. Amalek, Safek, the gematria of Amalek, the gematria of Safek, to mix us up. And for people like us who are Shomer Mitzvot, the Yetzer Hara doesn't tell us, go out and steal, go out and kill. That's not our Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara might say to us something like, I think you should daven, say the whole Sefer Tehillim, and ignore the fact that your kids are hungry and want supper. That's a Yetzer Hara. That's a misappropriation of your strength and time and a priority. So the Yetzer Hara is very, very tricky. That's why the Gemara says, the greater a person, the greater the Yetzer Hara. It doesn't mean that the great tzaddikim are being tempted with disgusting things. No, it means that their point of bechira, their point of free choice, is so hard to decide what's the right thing, what's the wrong thing. Is it the right thing to give musar? Is it the wrong thing to give musar? Is it the right thing for me to, I don't know, take a nap for 2 hours, or is it the wrong thing? For big tzaddikim, they have a whole different, their choices are so not black and white. There's so much gray. Our choice is a little bit less gray. And people are beginners, their choices are really, really black and white. They're like, do the right thing or don't do the right thing. So the Yetzer Hara is the ish mirma ve'avla. That's the biggest thing that we have to ask Hashem to protect us from. And we know that our Yetzer Hara is with us till the day that we die. It doesn't let go. You know that they say for an old person, what's the Yetzer Hara of an old person? They're lying on their deathbed already. They don't have any taiva. They don't have any, there's nothing else that they want. They've done all of their, they've taken care of all of their financial, their will is taken care of. What's the Yetzer Hara? The last Yetzer Hara that gets you? You know what it is? It's kavod. Kavod means, I want to die in a good way. Like, let me say Shema so loud that they'll write books about me on the Art Scroll series. Let me, look so holy that people don't realize I'm terrified. Kavod, the last Yetzer Hara on the deathbed, the Baal Shem HaKadosh says, on your deathbed, the Yetzer Hara is going to grab you and say, do this right. Or maybe it might say the opposite. Maybe it might say, like, be in a bad mood because not everybody came to your deathbed scene. Then they're not recording it or whatever. Till the last minute. So we ask Hashem, so even though the Yetzer Hara doesn't leave us ever, you might think like this is a prayer in vain. No, every day we're supposed to say, Hashem, please save me from the Yetzer Hara. And we'll see in a minute, the last pasuk of this parak reinforces that we're constantly talking to God. Constantly. We should be. In our own words, or saying psukim. Those when we learned this week, when was it? Monday we had the Monday shir. So that's even too early for you, Chai. That's like 11 a.m. That would be 4 o'clock in the morning. You can't do that one. 5 o'clock in the morning is enough to wake up.
I was up at 3 this morning. So 4 is perfect.
Don't advertise that. You don't have to advertise. I had one of my other friends, she should be well and have a complete refuah shlema. I don't want to say her name because I'm going to send her the shir. She was up also all night because she was sleeping all day because she thinks she has, she thinks she's not feeling well. So she slept the whole day and then she was up all night. So she was talking to me like between 1 o'clock and 2:30 in the a.m. her time, we were talking. So Hashem, Elokai, you're my helper. Lama zanachtani. Now, if you ever cried to God, and then you felt embarrassed, like, how could I have said that? Or if any of your kids ever yelled and screamed at you, really good, harsh, then of course they feel bad, you feel bad. Look at these words, Lama zanachtani, why have you abandoned me? The word lazniach in Hebrew, it means like you threw me into the garbage. It doesn't just mean like you walked away from me. It means like you really abandoned me. You like discarded me. Lama zanachtani. So David HaMelech is teaching us, you could be real with Hashem. You can tell him how you feel. You feel like you got abandoned. You feel like you were thrown into the garbage pail. So say it. David HaMelech says it. You're allowed to say it. Of course, you're going to end up making peace with Hashem. But when the kids yell at you, and they, or when we yell at our parents, we're just being real. We're just really. The truth is that it's a good thing because they're really communicating, and they're communicating, or we're communicating pain and confusion. David HaMelech does that to Hashem. It's okay. Lama koder et halech balachas oyev. Why must I be so depressed? These are harsh words. Koder means like gloomy, like so down. Why have you thrown me in the garbage heap? As if you abandoned me, says David HaMelech to Hashem. And I'm going and I'm feeling the pressure, the lachatz of all of the enemies around me. Now, this is not going to say, this is a hard, well, only one hard pasuk in this whole parak, but it's real. David HaMelech is saying, and he's saying for us, he's saying it for us, he's saying the Jewish people, How great are we? We are so great. I'm sure there are a lot of nice people in the world, but I know us, and I know what Friday night is like. When you walk in the street and you hear the windows are open. Now today, Baruch Hashem, in Yerushalayim Kodesh, I have to ask you in Dimona how the weather is, but here in Yerushalayim, we are having a drenching rain. Baruch Hashem, we had all night rain. Yesterday was Yud Zayin, Baruch Hashem, when the historical flood in Chumash was started, the flood in Noach's time, and yes, it started to rain. Yesterday was a nice, polite rain. Today, good drenching. It's like you can hear the trees saying, "Thank you, I was so thirsty." So, David HaMelech is saying, in a day on a Friday night, when Shabbos is in the summer, when everybody's windows are open, and you hear everybody singing, you walk in the street. You hear people, first of all, now we have minyanim outside, and you hear zmiras by the meal, and you hear, lots of, oh, thank you, Zvora, good. Today's sun, okay, so we're going to have sun soon. We had sun today also a little bit in the morning, but now rain. So we're such a beautiful people. What are we worried about? Did I say something bad about you? Did I perhaps insult you? How many phone calls did you ever get in your life? A person calls you up, listen, I'm not sure. I hope I don't insult you. And thank you, Simon Tavora. I love to hear the weather reports from all over the country. And I know that in the Hariyah yesterday, night before, I didn't see? Rain. Okay. So the world, if I'm talking about Jews who are serious in Avodas Hashem. Now listen, I don't want to put categories of Jews, yes, serious, not serious, but I know one thing. The Jews who are serious, really serious, they try not to hurt anyone's feelings, and if they do, they try to apologize. They try to be very honest in business, and if they're, how many times did you return money on the suffix, right? I remember my father and my aunt, they should both rest in peace. My father would shop for her, and my aunt would, they would do the cheshbon, and my father would always charge her much, much less, because she didn't have really, he thought she didn't have money, maybe she did, I don't know. Whatever it was, they were always fighting. The fight was, I owe you money. No, you don't owe me money. I owe you money. They were always fighting back and forth because I got the chickens on sale. I got the coffee on sale. They were always back and forth like that. That's how Jews who are serious about integrity and about devotion to education, devotion to our children, devotion to our families. We're such beautiful people, but the world doesn't see that. I don't know why the world doesn't see that, because we're still in Gullus. That's really the only answer. Hashem wants us to be in Gullus, and because of that, our beauty is hidden. Just like in Shir Hashirim, the beauty of the Jewish people is described as in such a beautiful way, but it's a beauty that's hidden. So here, David HaMelech is crying and saying, Mira, we're on Perek 43, Mem Gimel in Tehillim. David HaMelech is saying, why do I have to go so gloomy, so as if you abandoned me, and my enemies take advantage of that. You know that the philosophy of the Christians was because the Jewish people had exile, so they said, oh, God abandoned them. They're no longer the Jewish people. They're no longer the chosen people. That's what the Christians said. The Muslims say the same thing. When we're powerful, they're afraid of us because they say Hashem is on our side. But when we're not, when things are not going our way, they say, God abandoned them. So why? We saying to Hashem, why? And the word lachatz here, the word lachatz. Lachatz means pressure. Why, Hashem, do I feel so much pressure? Now that's a very important word. When David HaMelech was living, I don't know, even though Shlomo HaMelech says, Ein chadash tachat hashemesh, there's nothing new under the sun. Shlomo HaMelech says that. But I know that right now, planet Earth is like a pressure cooker. Everyone's life is so pressured. I remember when I was younger, I didn't feel as a teenager as pressured as I see the teenagers of today feel. We just didn't have that. It was a whole different, there were nisyonot for sure, but a different. Now we have lachatz, such lachatz. In Hebrew, lachatz dam means blood pressure. And the lachatz dam of planet Earth is skyrocketing, especially now, today, yesterday. Right? So okay, so David HaMelech is crying out to Hashem. That's it, that was his one cry. Why you abandon me? Why'd you throw me away? Don't you love me anymore? Shlach orcha v'amitzcha. Now, the abandonment As we said on Monday, a person could be in a nisayon for a minute, for an hour, for a day, for months, or for years. Nisyonot, tests, are God's way of sharpening our soul. And sometimes they last for a long time, depending on how strong we are. The stronger we are, the longer the test is, believe it or not. So David HaMelech is saying in these psukim, it's too much already. And therefore he says, now bring Mashiach, shlach orcha va'amitcha. Send your or, your light, and your truth. What does that mean? So Rashi says something very interesting. Rashi is, you all know Rashi, right? We all know Rashi. And Rashi is a Pashtan. He likes to go with the pshat. Pshat means the direct meaning of the word. So the word or means light. And usually it means illumination of the mind. That's usually what or means. Like it says, the first time we have or in the Torah, Vayihi or. And there was light. Vayar Hashem et ha'or ki tov. God saw that the light was good. What is good? Torah is good. So there's a gzeir shava between, there's a connection of words. That generally the word light means enlightenment. It means mental clarity. That's usually what light means. When we say to Hashem, enlighten me, send me the light, I see the light. It doesn't mean the electric light or the sunlight. It means clarity of the mind. Here, Rashi uncharacteristically says, or is Mashiach. Interesting, because he doesn't usually say things like that. Shlach orcha v'amitcha, Rashi says, send the or, that's Mashiach, and the emes, that's Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu Hanavi, who's going to teach us, who's going to show us, who's going to sharpen our sensitivity towards truth. That's what Rashi says. Uncharacteristic of Rashi, and of course I love it, because when Rashi says that, of course he brings psukim to show that there could also be pshat. It says, V'arachti ner l'mashichi, I set up a light, a candle for my Mashiach. So Rashi does bring a source, but it's not the pshat, the most pshat. And so because Rashi is showing us that this is a parak of Mashiach, of asking for a personal redemption, a national redemption, and then a global redemption. Please Hashem, send your or and your emes, because right now the world is dark and is full of sheker. Emes is truth, sheker is falsehood. You see what's going on in America? The falsehood of the elections. They're finding something called voter fraud. I listened today, so everybody knows that I'm in this election. Everybody knows who I favor. But I listened to how the lawyer described how they were counting ballots. So everybody here knows how. Maybe you don't know. I forgot. So in Israel, how do we vote? Okay, so you put your vote in an envelope, and you give it and you dump it into a box. And who's watching? Who's watching is three people: a person from the very, very right wing party, a person from the very, very left wing party, and a person in the middle. They take three representatives in each of the voting rooms to watch what you're doing, because they each want to make sure that their vote will be in case you voted for them, then their vote will be counted. So they each want that. So, and then how do they count the votes? Same way. The three people sit and they open up each envelope and they count. And they each look to see, because it's easy to see because the letter, it's not like you have to make a little small check. It's a big giant piece of paper. It's a piece of paper with a big giant Hebrew block letter that represents the different parties. So each of the three enemies are sitting counting the votes because they want to make it fair. And that's good. That's a fair way to do it. So in America, they didn't do that. They didn't let anybody watch. They just let the people who were whatever. They didn't let people watch. And because of that, all of a sudden they found like thousands or hundreds of thousands of votes out of nowhere for the candidate that they wanted. So they have to recheck everything. But the bottom line is, we know we're in a world of sheker. We know that we're in a world of lies. We don't know who to believe. Do you believe this doctor or do you believe that doctor? Do you believe this YouTube documentary? Do you believe that? They each sound so their arguments sound so plausible. You don't know how to research. I remember when my son, he should be well, when he was taking his courses in statistics, he's a psychologist, and he had to take 3 courses in statistics, undergraduate, graduate, and in his doctorate. And I said, and he hated statistics. And I have a background in math, and I used to help him, but even I hated it. So I said, what do you need statistics for? And he said, the professors explained that a person who's working in science needs to know how to read a report and to see if it is statistically significant. Because sometimes they do research, and the research is just nice, but it's not real, even if they come up with a conclusion, but the way that they did the research was flawed. So he had to learn the statistics. So now and we see now that for every report that tells you that hydroxychloroquine is good, you'll get a report that says it's bad, whatever. So it's a world of sheker. Therefore, David HaMelech is saying, please send Mashiach, and your emes, then we'll know what's true in that. We'll know what's real. We'll know what's true. Hema Yanachuni, and they will guide me. When I see Mashiach, when I see truth, that will guide me. Then I'll be able to make a normal decision. I'll be able to make a decision based on facts. Right now, we don't have the ability to make decisions so much because we don't know the facts. So that's the first level of this. Now, the Mefarshim tell us that, the Radak tells us this, that this is also Orcha V'Mitcha, is also Moshe Rabbeinu and Aharon HaKohen. When it says Shlach Orcha V'Mitcha Hema Yanchuni, it means send me Moshe Rabbeinu and send me Aharon HaKohen. What does that mean to send me Moshe Rabbeinu? So we know that Moshe Rabbeinu is a level of Mashiach. Aharon HaKohen is a level of the Kohan and the Kohen Gadol who's going to be serving the Beis HaMikdash again. So we're asking Hashem to send us the Mashiach on every single level, whether it's a political level, Mashiach and Eliyahu Hanavi, whether it's a spiritual level, Moshe Rabbeinu, Aharon HaKohen, Beis HaMikdash. Send us, Hashem. We're begging Hashem to send that. Yidiyuni, and then I will be able to come. They will take me. El Har Kodesh El Mishkanosech, and then they'll take me, Hashem, to the Harabait, to the Beis HaMikdash, and to Yerushalayim, and to the Harabait, to Yerushalayim, and to the Beis HaMikdash. So this is a plea for Mashiach to come. Ve'avoa el mizbach elakim el kel simchat libi, and then I'll be able to come to your mizbeach. I'll be able to come to the place where I can say thank you to you, and you'll make me happy. That's all. You're the God that makes me happy. Simchat gili means I'll have happiness instantaneously, and then happiness slowly. The odecha, and then I'll be able to say thank you. The word odecha, like modeh, then I'll be able to say thank you. Bichinar, I'll play my guitar, my violin. Elokim Elokai, Hashem, my God. Hashem, my God. One of the Ben Ish Chai says that Hashem Elokai, when he says Hashem Elokai, and also the Yavit says this, it's like when Hashem called Avraham, when you call someone's name twice, it's like you love them. Moshe, Hashem says Moshe, twice he called him Yaakov. Whenever a name is repeated, it's like in Chumash, it doesn't say like sweetheart and honey and mamala and shefala and all of those, how do we say in Hebrew? Chamudi, right? Achi. In Hebrew, in Tanakh, the way to say I love you is to repeat their name twice. And so, if you and your husband are learning this together, and then you want to write him a note to show him how much you love him, so write his name twice. And then he'll know that what you meant by that, because it's how Hashem shows us how he loves us. And it's how David HaMelech is showing how we love Hashem, even using the name Elokim. Now, the name Elokim is a name of judgment, is a name of strict, harsh, din, power. We don't always like to relate to Hashem in that way. But David HaMelech is saying, Elokim, Elokai, I love you even when you're tough with me. I love you even when you're judging me, because we saw in the beginning of the parak that shafteni does not always have to mean to judge. It could also mean to take, it means I know I'm right, so Hashem, you avenge me. Show the world that I'm right. Show the world, Hashem, that the Jewish people has been right all of these years, that we never gave up on Hashem. We never stopped doing mitzvahs. If Moshe Rabbeinu would come back now, he would not have any idea what this machine is. It would take him about 10 minutes to figure out all the computers, but he would definitely recognize, Shabbos candles. My Shabbos candles are getting ready. He would definitely recognize if you make a bracha before you eat. He would definitely recognize how we're davening. He would recognize us because we're dressed properly. He would say, oh, there you are, my chaver. By the way, before I forget, I want to say Lili Nishmas, Reb Meir Kahana, today's is yours, Meir David HaKohen, today's is yours. Okay, so I want to be able to come to the base of Mikdash Hashem. I want to finally be able to say thank you to you. I want to be able to play music to you, Hashem. And here's the final pasuk that I wanted to talk about again, because this is the pasuk that's connecting this parak to the parak before. And you know this pasuk by heart, and you should. You have to know, you have to say this pasuk, whenever you need to calm yourself down. Here's the pasuk. Ma tishtachachi nafshi. Now David HaMelech is talking to himself, which we do a lot. Don't you talk to yourself? Yeah. When you're talking to God, sometimes you're talking to you. You talk to yourself. Sometimes I do something, and it's as if I hear my mother saying to me, Rochel, why did you do it like that? My mother had a certain way of doing things, and I was the opposite. I worked very quickly, and she worked very slow and methodically. But whatever it is, sometimes I do something and I spill something, whatever it is, and I hear my mother, and I say to my mother, okay, Ma, I know, you're right. Or I say to myself, oh, come on. So we talk to ourselves a lot. So here David HaMelech is talking to himself. So don't feel bad when you talk to yourself. When people say you're crazy, you're not, you're like David HaMelech. He says, myself, nafshi. He's talking to his nefesh, nafshi. Why are you getting so aggravated? Why are you so agitated? Mati shochachim. Why are you so down, my soul? Umatehemi. And why are you, matemei, and why are you not doing anything about it? Why are you like yearning for something without action? Hochidi lelokim. Trust, turn to God. Ki od odenu, because you yet will thank him. Now we're talking to ourselves. And Yeshuot panai velokai Hashem, you are the salvation, my Yeshua of my face and my being. So again, it's a hard pasuk to translate because it keeps going from place to place. Ma tishtochachi nafshi. Say that to yourself, and that means my nefesh, myself. Why are you getting so aggravated? Why are you getting so agitated? What are you getting so worried about? Why are you so worried? And why are you looking towards, like your hope, you're wishing? Like homiyah means a yearning. Nefesh homiyah. It's in the Israeli national anthem called Tikva, HaTikva. It means, why are you yearning for something? Why don't you do something about it? Hochidi lelokim. Wait for Hashem. Ach, Yehudit, he's so big. I can't believe it. He's kind. I love when people bring kids onto the thing. Okay, sorry, everybody. Hochidi lelokim. Trust in Hashem. Talk to Hashem. Rely on Hashem. Anticipate that Hashem's going to help you. Expect a miracle. Expect a miracle. That expression was in when I used to live in America. So I used to go to a natural healer, And he had a thing on his bulletin board that when you walked in, like certain pitgamim, and one of them was, expect a miracle. The other one was, of course, drink water. Drink water, expect a miracle. So, Hochili lelokim, ki od odenu, because you will yet thank him. Ki od oden, I will yet thank him. So I'm talking to myself saying, I will yet thank Hashem. Yeshua for all the help that he's going to give me, panai. Now the word panai, it's hard to explain these words because again, it goes to a different, we're talking to ourselves back and forth. Hashem is the Yeshua, gives me Yeshua. Panai means my pneumius, it means my face, but it really means my pneumius, my inner. Velokai, and you, Hashem, are my God. Trust in Hashem. What are you getting so aggravated? What are you getting so agitated? Now, me, I'm talking to myself because I'm very, very on the edge of my seat about this American elections. I want to see how it ends. And everyone knew it was going to be like this. Everyone knew there was going to be crazy, crazy things going on. No one knew exactly how the crazy things would manifest, but everyone knew it was going to be a little bit wild and hairy. And so this pasuk helps me a lot. It also helps you when you feel confused and you want to calm yourself down. So just say, what are you getting excited? What are you getting aggravated? What are you getting confused about? Things are going to work out. One of my teachers once told me the following incredibly helpful exercise, and that is, go back in your mind 5 years ago, if you can do that, and think about what was worrying you 5 years ago. What were you fighting with your friend about? What were you fighting with your husband and wife about? What were you like wishing for? What were you think about the finances? Whatever it is that you're in your little place. Okay, 5 years ago. And now, is it in your life right now? So there are certain things that are. There are, but the majority of the things that were bothering you 5 years ago, they're not part of your life right now. So now go 5 years from now, or 5 days from now, and go and be in that place, and have rachmanis, have pity and compassion for the people who can't do that. People who are still stuck in 5 years ago, it's a rachmanis. They don't know this pasuk. They don't know this parak. They don't know Jewish history. Jewish history is you cannot stay stuck in the past. You must let go and move on. You must. It's for Rabbi Nachman says that it's almost an avera, and you're almost stealing your own life by living in the past because you have stuff to do right now. So right now, being right now, and forgetting the past, letting go of the past. If you can do that, it's a big gift. If you can't do that, you have to work on it because it's important to do that. Like, what's his name? Mordechai ben David. So he made that pitgam into a song. Ha'avar ayin, the past doesn't exist anymore. Ve'ha'atid adayin, and the future didn't happen yet. Ve'ha'hoveh, and the present, okay, so he says keherafayim, that's what the present, it passes in a second. Right now, we're in a different present than we were 10 minutes ago. So da'aga miyayin, why should you worry? Because we're really living in a different time zone. We're not living within time. Look at, let's say, Yehudis, that little cutie pie over there. In 5 years from now, whoa, he's going to be asking you for his chumash homework. He's going to tell you, like, he's going to tell you what to eat for supper, right? Like, so this moment is so precious. So live in the moment and don't worry about the past and don't think about the future. Of course, we have to look at the future and past. I'm not talking about completely living in a bottle of, in a time capsule, but letting go and not worrying. Now listen, now I'm going to go back to Perek Mem Bet just for a second, because we did Perek Mem Gimel Gematria Chala for the Chala Bake. This is my contribution to your Chala Bake. And because the shir is really coming sponsored from seed, right? This is the seed shir, right? Jenny, yeah. And I always forget the different letters of the, yeah. So, and the seed is having the worldwide challah bake. I don't know if it's all over the world, but whatever. This is my contribution to the challah bake. You can send this around on the challah bake chat. But 43 Gematria Chala. That's why I picked Mem Gimel. Also because, again, V'hamevin Yavin, think about how this is so current, how this is so relevant to what's going on in the world right now. But if you look back at Parak Mem Beis, Parak Mem Bet, which is the Parak in the chapter before, which this is a continuation of. So Parak Mem Beis, for those of you who are real Tehillim sayers, you know that Parak Mem Beis is the beginning of the second book of Tehillim. What does that mean, the second book of Tehillim? You know that Tehillim is divided into 5 sub-books for the 5 Chumashim. And every time you finish a book in Tehillim of saying it, you say the special Yehi Ratzon that says, just like this, I just finished the first book of Tehillim, which is paralleling the book of Bereshis, and you have a whole beautiful tefillah that you say there. So Mem Beis is the beginning of book 2. And it begins with Lamanasech Maskil Livnei Korach, which means a song, a thinking song that helps you to overcome negativity, because Lamanasech is you overcome challenges, and Netzach, and a maskil is the type of song that's seichel, that makes you think. And Livnei Korach, so who wrote this? Who is this associated with? Bnei Korach, the sons of Korach. And also our parak. So our parak began with Shafteni Elokim, judge me Hashem, or avenge me Hashem. And who is this written by, or who is it associated with? The children of the sons of Korach. Remember Korach in the book of Bamidbar, the cousin of Moshe Rabbeinu, got himself into big trouble, yeah? And his sons did teshuvah, and they were Leviim, and they had a whole beautiful family after they did teshuvah. The prophet Shmuel Hanavi comes from Korach, and Shmuel Hanavi was the one who anointed David HaMelech, who incorporated this into his book of Tehillim. So who wrote it first? So there's a machlokas, who wrote, when it says Livnei Korach. We have a whole bunch of Livnei Asaf, we have a whole bunch of other people writing Tehillim. And so the first Rashi in Tehillim tells us from the Medrash that 10 people contributed to writing Tehillim, but David HaMelech compiled, put it all together. He edited it. He lived through it. He sifted through all the different, over the years, we had many tefillot that Jews, tzaddikim, biblical personalities wrote. And David HaMelech was the one who put the whole thing together. And so some say that David HaMelech actually wrote this parak of Tehillim, but he taught it to the Bnei Korach, and they sang it in davening. They sang this, one of the things they sang in public. So we know that Korach, the last minute did Shuvah, the Bnei Korach, the last minute did Shuvah. And so part of the energy of this parak of Tehillim, even though it's not talking about us doing Shuvah, but it's talking about us having clarity of the mind. Once a Jew has clarity of the mind, Teshuvah is automatic. I heard a beautiful teaching on the pasuk, Kel nekamos Hashem, Kel nekamos Hofia. Hashem, take revenge. You're the God of vengeance. Please, Hashem, appear, manifest yourself, show us yourself. So the teaching goes, who did I hear this from? Heard this in a shir recently. Maybe Rabbi Weinberger, maybe you're a rabbi, Golden, maybe Rabbi Weinberger said this. He said that the pasuk means, like, remember with Yosef HaTzadik, his brothers, all he had to say was, Ani Yosef. And all of a sudden, everything was clear to them. Everything, in a second. And that's how it's going to be when Mashiach comes. Hashem is just going to appear. And for us, we're going to be vindicated. We're going to know, we're going to understand everything. And for the Goyim, El Nakamos Hashem, for the Goyim, they're going to also right away, instantaneously shrink from humiliation. As soon as Hashem appears, as soon as clarity exists, then all sheker falls by the wayside. So all Hashem has to do is Hofia, is to appear. Hofa'ah, Right? Israeli man, Israeli, it means a performance. Hashem has to just appear. Hashem has to just take away the curtain that's over this world that hides Hashem's presence. He just has to push away the curtain and show us himself, so to speak, whatever that means. We should have clarity. And then all the enemies will disappear. They'll all melt from fear. They'll all, whatever. They will not be any longer. That's what the energy of the B'nai Korach. That's the energy of Korach, the B'nai Korach, and that's the energy of this parak. And even though we're asking Hashem to avenge us of our enemies, but we know that really first we need to be in our own self. We all need to know our own selves. We need to know Torah's emes, Moshe's emes, Torah's emes. Moshe's true, the Torah is true. Our way of life is true. We have to hold on to, we have to know that in ourselves. And everything else, well, that's emes. Hold on to emes. Whenever you're being bombarded with sheker, there's so much sheker in the world now, so much lies in the world. Whenever you're being bombarded with that, just sit down and say a parak. That's what I did yesterday. Say a parak Tehillim. Tehillim is emes. Say a pasuk of Tehillim. Hashem emes bilvava, right? Hashem, we say that in davening. Hashem emes la'olam. Hashem is truthful. When you're bombarded with sheker, say words of emes. Just read the Torah. Reishis bara Elokim. Last letter, Sofei Tevos, emes. The first three words of the Torah, the last letters is emes, is truth. So we have to hold on now in this crazy, crazy ride. We're in like a roller coaster. Especially those of you who are American or who are aware of American stuff. I think England had this last year with Euro elections, right? You guys were going crazy about Euro elections, and we didn't know it was that, like we didn't relate to it. But now the whole world is relating to the American elections. Hashem ya'azor v'yirachem tikun b'nei korach. Look at that. That's cool. We only have Hashem. We only have Hashem to rely on. Hashem knows. So I heard a very interesting thing from Official Shafter, a very interesting teaching, and he quoted, I forgot who it's from. You might say that Hashem, thank you, Kirsten. You might say that Hashem decided already Rosh Hashanah who's going to be president. So he said, one of the Mefarshim say like this, maybe Hashem decided on Rosh Hashanah that who will be president will depend on the davenings of the Jewish people. Hashem could have decided, not the person, but the way. It's okay, Kirsten, it's okay. The way that, it could be that Hashem said, okay, who's going to be the president? It depends on what the Jewish people do. He could have said that. So it really could be in our hands also. Okay. I can't see what you just said. Okay, all you people writing nice notes. Tap on my screen and it runs away. Okay, whatever. It's true. I know, Golda. I agree with you. But you're right. It's too much for this forum. Anyway, especially because it's a British group originally. But okay, so listen. I want to wish you a good Shabbos.